Tom Furlow was born on June 20th, 1951, to John Furlow and Joanne Furlow of Lidditz, Pennsylvania. Growing up in a quiet, working-class home, he was not exposed to much outside of his community. The eldest of 4 children, he had to experience things first. He was educated in the Warwick School District and has 2 years at Penn State College. He worked on farms, with a concrete contractor, and at a local food distributor after school. When he turned 18, he received his draft notice. He did not want to be drafted, so he enlisted in the Navy. He chose the Navy because he thought it would be a good way to get out and see the world. Mr. Furlow traveled to San Diego for basic training, had on-the-job training, and learned skills as an aircraft mechanic and handler. His first assignment was with Helicopter Combat Support Squadron 5, better known as HC-5, at Imperial Beach, California. After about a year, he switched to HC-3 at Naval Air Station North Island. He recalls how boring both bases were. Mr. Furlow learned discipline and structure, but found the majority of training uneventful. Mr. Furlow served on 3 different ships: the USS White Plains, the USS Kiska, and the USS Niagara Falls. According to Mr. Furlow,
they were all pretty much the same. We were the same size crew, whichever, on 3 different ships. They're all pretty much the same.
He remembers how cramped and hot the sleeping quarters were. As an aircraft mechanic and maintainer, he worked the same job each ship he was on. He transported mail, supplies, food, personnel, ammunition, and more. On his cruises, he has been to Hong Kong, Japan, Taiwan, the Philippines, Singapore, Hawaii, and the waters of Vietnam. Home-ported in Japan, Mr. Furlow got his Japanese driver's license.
Except we got home-ported in Japan, which means we stayed put. Mm-hmm. And that was not fun. Didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And it was winter, and the weather wasn't the best. It wasn't nice and hot anymore.
While most of Mr. Furlow's time in the Navy was without peril, he found himself in some dangerous situations occasionally. Once, his ship and another ship were highlining at night.
Doing highlining at night, which is 2 ships side by side, together, tied together.
Yeah.
The flags up tell you what's going on. You can't change course. There was a commercial ship of some sort coming right at us. So we had to do an emergency breakaway.
Yeah.
And they called that out, and all hands topside take cover, because they cut the cables. And they whip. That was pretty close. We had to stand by for a hit, but we didn't get hit.
At one point, he and his crewmates had to go to their quarters because the radar operators had found Russian MiGs on their radars. He has also ridden through 2 typhoons.
I rode through 2 typhoons at sea, which is a hurricane at sea. They're pretty scary. You're not allowed topside, but we went up anyway. And a lot of puke up on the decks. We went up to the bridge, watched the waves, these swells crash over the bow. You wouldn't stand a chance if you were out there. But we went on back at our little flight deck. We just put the overhead doors up and sat there on chairs. I have a good picture of the ship at a 38-degree tilt. The horizon, of course, is level, and the back of the ship's like that. So we were smart, we thought. Got one of those mechanics creepers, put a guy on it, tied a rope around him, pushed him out on the deck. And as the ship went one way, he went that way, and the ship would go the other way, and he'd go back and pull him in. And that was fun. Dumb, but fun. We didn't get caught.
Mr. Furlow remembers how great the food was, because in the supply position, They always had first dibs on the good stuff. This meant fresh eggs, fresh milk, and everything that you would want. There were also downsides as well. He said that you'd be promised steak, then they'd give you hot dogs. Mr. Furlow has had some memorable experiences as well. On his ships, there were boxing matches on Sundays. Mr. Furlow recalls watching a ring knocker and a boy named Perry from West Virginia.
Every Sunday they called him a smoker, which amounted to a boxing match. Anybody could box, depending on your skill. If you had a grudge against somebody, you could fight. And these gloves they put on were huge. We had an officer, he graduated in Annapolis, call him a ring knocker. When they graduate, they got a ring, and they went to the bar, they knocked for beer. Call them ring knockers. He thought he was pretty good. There was a kid from, I don't know what division he was in. His name was Perry, from West Virginia. Perry couldn't talk right. He was big, and he wasn't too bright. But these two boxed, and Perry hit him right in the chin and dropped that officer right to the mat.
He also remembers a man who was called Spoon Man.
We had another guy. He was little. He worked down in the bowels of the ship somewhere. He was as white could be. And we called him Spoon Man. He had a face that was dished in. Looked like a spoon. He had it against some other guy about the same size. Called Spoon Man. Big gloves. Big trunks. Everybody's cheering for Spoon Man. And he beat this kid. Didn't knock him down, but he got him on point. That was funny. But
Mr. Furlow remembers going to a pig roast with his Filipino crew member's family. A large memory he has from his service would be the ceremony when you cross the equator. A simple backstory could be that King Neptune lives on the equator, and you have to be worthy to cross into his domain. If you've never crossed, you're a pollywog. A pollywog breakfast contains of mashed potatoes and sauerkraut dyed green. When you get dressed in the morning, you wear your work clothes inside out and backwards. You go against the king's court. King Neptune, the queen, her court, Davy Jones, the royal baby, the royal barber, and the royal doctors, and a royal dentist. Dr. Death gave a scary talk about what crossing the equator could entail, horror, anxiety, etc. You'd crawl on your hands and knees with your heads down, and if you look up, you'd get swatted with a shillelagh. King Neptune looks at your charge sheet, and no matter what you plead, you still get smacked by the paddles. You have to crawl through a canvas tunnel filled with rotten food and trash and vomit. Your commander stands on it, and if you attempt to back up, another stands behind you. Long story short, it's a hazing ritual that would not fly today. Mr. Furlow was happy he was in the service because of the great experiences he had. He enjoyed it very much, but yearned to be back home. He was honorably discharged at NAS North Island in August of 1974. He returned straight home with a feeling of pride and gratitude for everything he had. The GI Bill supported his education at Penn State College. He quickly adjusted back to civilian life, bringing home many memories and photos. He kept in touch with a few of his buddies, but not as much anymore. Mr. Furlow thinks everyone should have at least 2 years of experience in the service. Soon after, he met his soon-to-be wife, Pam, and had 3 children, Addie, Clint, and Kurt. They grew up with Mr. Furlow and Pam on a small farm in Brickerville, Pennsylvania, later building their home next to J. Edward Mack Boy Scout Camp. He has become a loving grandfather of 9 children, all who look up to him and are entertained by his stories and his jokes. He enjoys being outside and shooting archery. Mr. Furlow, thank you for your service. You have impacted many people. Your work around the globe has not gone unnoticed. We appreciate your sacrifices that you have made and what you have given to support your nation.